Where are the low-value men?
The hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site. You can believe that. You can believe that. You can believe that.
Contracted COVID, but says with a mixture of medicines, including the controversial horse dewormer that has poisoned hundreds of people nationwide, he's now recovered.
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
From the headlines to the whispers dark, low value mail, we'll get them all. Low value mail at 90 Park, where truth and fiction take a walk.
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon? You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Our stories are.
What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to an all-new episode of Low Value Mail on this Monday, May 19th, 2025. It's episode number 146. I don't remember if I said that. My brain's going. Joining me in the second hour, we have guest Ryan Zehm. He's a thru-hiker, backpacker, hatha yogi, and wildland firefighter with a goal of reaching the North Pole on foot. And he's been trying, but it doesn't sound like he's been successful. Glad to be back, everybody. I'm sorry that I've been away. Basically, normally I don't have this much comedy on the road, but unfortunately, just due to scheduling stuff, I have not, I've missed some shows, which I did not like, but that's unfortunately the whole deal with doing live shows, is that I can't just record them in an afternoon in a studio and then just put them out that day like we do with the Boys Cast. It's a live show. So if I'm on a fucking airplane at 9 p.m. on a Monday night, obviously I can't do it. So I apologize for that, but good news. My schedule is pretty locked in for the show, pretty much going forward. I don't really have anything coming up that's, I have some shows in Calgary, June 5th to 7th, if anybody of you live there, but there's no Sunday show. So I'll be back for the show. I'll be back next Memorial Day, next Monday, Memorial Day. I'll be doing a show. But anyways, it's good to be back. Apologies again for being away. It was just a bunch of scheduling stuff that kind of happened all at once. And then I was going to try and do an episode last week, but I just wasn't able to. I was going to try and do a different day. Although, should I, in the future, this happens, I'll try and do something maybe where I do it different day, different time and day. But we'll see. But anyways, for the time being, I should be good. I don't have really anything in my schedule that's has me not in town. So fret not, all the scrotes out there. I'm back, baby. I'm so back. But I know I've only done like a show in like a month. Someone says I need to drop the Canadian number. It's not a Canadian number. It's an 800 number. It's just an 800 number. It's not a Canadian number. Canadians can call it. I mean, they can call an American number too, but it's just an 800 number. Anyways, to the news. And then we'll be doing open lines in about 25 minutes for about half an hour. And then we'll be joined by our lovely guest, Joe Biden. Auto Pen Joe. I almost called him Auto Blow Joe. Don't ask me why I know what that is. But Auto Pen Joe Biden has advanced prostate cancer. First off, sucks to hear. Obviously, cancer sucks. And, you know, I hope none of you are taking any sort of pleasure in this, because obviously it is a crappy thing for him. But this does raise a tremendous amount of questions. Tremendous. Like a tremendous amount. Specifically, how long has Joe Biden known he had cancer? This type of cancer, advanced prostate cancer, I've seen a lot of people talk about it online. You know, they've moved on from being tariff experts to cancer experts. But a lot of people have chimed in, cancer doctors, and they're like, there's no way you find out about this far along just like this. You don't find out about it this quickly. And, you know, again, it is a very good question to know how long he has had cancer, how long he's known he's had cancer, how long his inner circle has known he's had cancer. I have a clip. Let's play the clip.
And because it was a 4-lane highway that was accessible, my mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. And why can't, for the longest time, Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation. And many other people I grew up have. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer.
Okay, so that was from July 2022. Joe Biden says, that's why I and so many other people I know have cancer. Now, some people will claim classic Biden flub, right? He's always saying crazy shit and sniffing little girls' hair and, saying stuff like, I don't even remember. I can't think of crazy stuff he said. Remember he said something about like called all black kids poor. I don't know exactly what the line was, but anyways, he said in July 2022, I and many other people I know have cancer. Did he get it from growing up in Delaware? Probably not. I thought he was from Scranton, but I think he moved. He moved to Scranton, right? But so it's certainly possible that he just learned about this. Scott Adams, creator of Dilbert, actually said this today. Scott Adams also actually came out today and said that he has a similar advanced prostate cancer and that he doesn't have long left to live, which is sad to hear. I like Scott Adams. I'm sure a lot of you guys like him, know him. He's saying he's got till the summer, which is really crappy. Jason says, poor kids are just as good as white kids. There we go. That's the one. That is the one. I couldn't remember the exact wording of it, and I didn't want to do a racism. Not yet. Too early in the show to do a racism, right? But so, shitty for Scott Adams. Shitty for Joe Biden. But there's more to this. It's shitty if you're not the president of the United States. I mean, it's shitty, but, when you're the president of the United States and you have clearly cognitive decline issues, and for some reason you still insist on running for president, and all your handlers insist you run for president, there are questions to be asked. I'm just asking questions, just like you folks, right? We just have some questions. So, and here's the thing. The president, when you're the president, your health is monitored about as closely as probably anyone on earth. You're Brian Johnson over here. You're getting your I was going to say you're getting Hunter Biden's blood, but that would kill Joe Biden. If he got infused with Hunter Biden's blood, that would kill him instantly. All the drugs in there, all that stuff. But so even CNN's Brian Stelter, the human potato, said the release of this was extraordinary timing. You don't say. Extraordinary timing. And of course, my boy Jake Tapper, shout out Jake Tapper, turned his back on me on this one because he's coming out with an absolutely ludicrous book called Original Sin, about how Biden's inner circle kept his cognitive decline secret. Except we all knew. Literally every person watching this show or listening right now knew it. We all knew it. You watched it and you go, he's moving bad. It's like you watch a clip of him debating like in 2016 or talking in 2016, even 2020, you go, there's something clearly is getting worse. It is getting worse. Right? And look, none of us were in Biden's inner circle. And we all knew. I mean, at least I wasn't. Maybe some of you were. Doubt it. But we all knew. And for Jake Tapper to actually write about this, write a book like this is some big scoop. It's nuts. It's nuts, right? And people will buy the book. That's the crazy thing. People will buy the book and they'll read it and think to themselves, well, those DNC people really fooled us, huh? They really pulled the wool over our eyes. And now the kind of talking point is, hey, you know what? We shouldn't really be talking about his cognitive decline and all that and everything, it means, because he has cancer. And that wouldn't be nice to an old man with cancer, would it? But you're like, there's real questions here because they really wanted him to be the president. Like, they were trying as hard as they possibly could. They were fucking injecting him with all sorts of shit. They were just trying to get him over the finish line. And, you have to wonder what their plan was here. I think it's probably on its face somewhat obvious, which was they were going to get Biden elected somehow. If he could just somehow cooperate, if he could just cooperate, they were going to get him elected and then just hand the reins over to Kamala Harris right away. Like, she would have already been president, which must piss her off. I mean, there's nothing she could do because, again, he was visually so bad that they were just like, there's nothing we can do here. We just have to get him out. It's so obvious. And again, you'd have to think, like, probably in 2020 he was bad, probably throughout his entire presidency. I mean, we know throughout his entire presidency. I'm saying probably. I'm like, we saw it. We all saw it. Like, falling asleep in interviews. They came out with that Axios just dropped on the weekend on Friday or Saturday night. Friday night, they dropped that interview with him where he didn't know what year his son died. Which is like, you would think any parent, you go, what year did your son die? You go, I think I remember the year my son died. But anyways, we dodged a bullet. We dodged multiple bullets here. We dodged the Biden and Kamala bullet. I guess that's a single bullet, really. But you would think, is it not in the interest of Americans to know if their president has fucking cancer? Seems kind of a big deal. I'd like to know if Donald Trump has cancer. If Donald Trump came down with cancer, I'd like to know. I'm not even a citizen. I do live here. I'm not a citizen, but I'd like to know. I don't think that's unreasonable. And it really does show you how power hungry the people that pull the strings behind the scenes really are, it's really like, I know we knew this, that it's like, it's just the billionaires that run this shit, the billionaires that call the shots. Because, famously when Joe Biden, when he was still wanting to run against Trump in the last election, and then essentially all these big donors were like, yeah, we're not giving any contributions till you get rid of him. And they go, okay, sir, you're the boss. And they just got rid of him. Like the Jeffrey Katzenbergs and the Steven Spielbergs. I'm sure there was one that wasn't Jewish. Actually, you know what? There's a list. I have a list here. This is from Forbes. Who are Joe Biden's top 10 biggest billionaire donors? Okay, let's look at the list. We have number 1, Michael Bloomberg. Okay. Reid Hoffman. Sounds Jewish, but he's not. He's not, so that's good. 1 for 2. Jim Simons. He's dead now, but he was Jewish. Michael Moritz. Also Jewish. Stephen Mandel. Okay. Dustin Moskovitz. All right. Seth Klarman. Okay. Henry Laufer. Probably. He's a probable. Avram Glazer. Not sure. Probably, though. And Amy Goldman Fowler. All right. Well, then. I think Jared might have a point about some things. Anyways. It is interesting the lengths that these people were willing to go. These people. Were willing to go in order to keep Trump out of power. And it's crazy. They were like, we do not. Really, they don't give a shit about the country. They really don't. They just go, hey, we got lots of money. We want to run the country, essentially. And we don't really care who's in power, as long as they just do the shit we tell them to do. And you know what? You see this, and there's always those people who go, I don't vote. What's the fucking point? And you read this shit and you go, kind of feel you on that one, right? Because they were willing to do a lot to get rid of Trump. All the lawfare, 2 assassination attempts. But it is hard to get into the mind of like, if you're a diehard Democrat voter, which, there's probably 30% of the country is that now. Like, how do you process this? Like, do you really not give a shit? Your whole thing is just like, orange man bad, cannot have the orange man in. I don't care that they tried to put in a cancer-ridden, dementia-addled 82-year-old. Don't care. It's just, you can't have Trump in office. You can't have it. And they don't care that guy, cancer, dementia, most powerful man in the world. They don't care. Because they probably know. They go, hey, the people really in charge, Reid Hoffman, Avram Glazer, whatever the fuck. They go, they'll take care of us. They really care about this. And, regardless, it will be interesting to watch the Democrats kind of rebuild. My feeling here is that they just memory hole this entire thing. Just the entire thing. We have an election coming up in a year or so, midterms, and then the presidential election. They're going to literally be like, yeah, Jake Tapper wrote a great book. Great book. Doesn't matter. All right, topic number 2, and then we're going to go to the phone lines. Jeffrey Epstein. Very interesting. This is very interesting. So, this weekend, in an interview on Fox News, which if you call me, I was on Fox News on Saturday night with the great Jimmy Fallon. This weekend, in an interview on Fox News with FBI head Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino, they were asked a number of questions on them, specifically, about the death of Jeffrey Epstein. They covered a lot of topics, but one of them was Jeffrey Epstein. Both of them stated unequivocally that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. They said, we reviewed all the documents. I'm sure they have access to tons of shit that, normal people do not have, the cases, all that stuff. And they said he did not kill himself. So, and Dan Bongino, you guys obviously know, in his former life as a podcast host, was quite skeptical of this narrative. He was not the type of person who was like, yeah, Jeffrey Epstein definitely killed himself. He was like, something fucking shady happened here. Now he's the deputy director of the FBI. And, Kash Patel, pretty base dude too. I don't think he was also like, yeah, he just killed himself and nothing to see here. Now they're very much coming out and they go, hey, you know what? Like, we've seen it all. He killed himself. I don't know what to tell you. The two of them, have framed themselves as pretty straight shooters. So you'd think if they were like these super biased partisans, which, Dan Bongino definitely you could put in that category, especially when he was doing his podcast, live streams, and all that stuff. They would just be like, I don't know. We looked at it inconclusive, right? That's what you would think. But they didn't. They specifically said, he killed himself. Now, maybe he did kill himself, but they let him. I don't know. Maybe that's the kind of twist here. I don't know. We obviously know that he was some sort of intelligent asset for one or more countries. So my final questions to you, the Scroats, the Scroat viewers of this show, who almost certainly believe he was murdered, is, does this change your mind in any way? I am curious because I'm kind of on the fence here. Like maybe they're playing some long game here where they're just like, they go and they say, yeah, he killed himself. And it makes the perpetrators who actually did kill him believe they got away with the crime. I'm looking at you, Bill Gates. Maybe that's the plan here. Maybe there's a grand plan here. I'm not sure. But I can't see what their motivation is to lie, unless it's some kind of setup, unless it's some sort of clever ruse, which is possible. I will certainly concede that's possible. Or the alternative, obviously one alternative is that he just did in fact kill himself, nothing to see here. Or politics is absolutely so compromised by the deep state that these two were just given their marching orders and that's just what they're saying. They came in to the federal government and they're like, we're fucking not doing any of this shit. We're going to call balls and strikes. We're going to tell the American population the truth. And then, some shadowy figures are like, he killed himself. That's the story. And they go, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And look, if you believe that whole deep state thing where you go, if this is what you believe, where you go, that's the only explanation here, is that these guys are just been told what to do and they're just doing it, then you're just going even further down the conspiracy rabbit hole, really, because you can officially not believe a single thing in your life. There is nothing left for you to believe. Nothing. Like, that's it. You cannot believe a single thing. So my question is, which is it? I'm posing this question to you when I'm going to open up the phone lines in a few minutes. Actually, I'm going to open up the phone lines right now. Phone lines are now open. We got Mark manning the lines. I hope he's here.